ESPN Radio.
Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio. What's up, nerds? ESPN Plus, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and on your smart speaker. So, LA, we know the Rams are real. I really thought the Patriots were going to upset them. It wasn't close. The Los Angeles Rams are for real. New York are the New York Football Giants, because we're going to find that out too. We're going to find out this weekend if the New York Football Giants are for real. We're going to get to that in this hour. You can reach me at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join me on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Can Josh Allen take the next step versus the Steelers? This is a bigger game for the Steelers or the Bills? AFC East wide open nowadays, right? Bills put a little daylight between themselves and Miami. Well, we're going to get into it. Be a part of Max Kellerman Nation on the Dr. Pepper call-in line. 888-SAY-ESPN. ESPN Nation is presented by Dr. Pepper. It is official. College football is back, and so is your favorite Dr. Pepper-loving college football town, Fansville. Head to a store near you to treat your inner college football fan to an ice-cold 20-ounce Dr. Pepper today. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Here's the question right now. Let's keep it a straight talk. Let's keep it straight. Here's the question right now. Can the Rams win the Super Bowl? LA, that's what it's about right now. Can the Rams win the Super Bowl with Jared Goff as their quarterback? He's been pretty good. And the best thing about it is it happened as a result, it seems, of McVay calling him out. Sean McVay's 34 years old. I was 34 years old 13 years ago, right? 34 is young. To be a head coach in the NFL, as successful as McVay's been, he has a winning record every year. And the fact that he's made adjustments like, oh my God, McVay's so innovative, and they look like Super Bowl favorites, and they lose a depressing Super Bowl, really, by a lowest scoring Super Bowl ever, to the Patriots. And then the next year, they're not as good. Maybe the league adjusted. Maybe McVay is a one-hit wonder, even though they're a winning record. And then this year, they're back to looking like one of the best teams in the NFL. Well, that's a great job by a young head coach. And you know what? He picked the right time to, for the first time that I can remember, publicly criticize Goff. He's got to be better with ball security. And what's happened since then? Goff's been better with ball security. He has been. And as a result, the Rams can do their thing. And their thing has changed. Look, the year they lost to the Super Bowl in the lowest scoring Super Bowl in history to the Patriots, Bill Belichick let Tom Brady make good decisions, and otherwise, Brady rode a defense and running game to a win. And Goff was not ready. Belichick outfoxed him and McVay. But this was a rematch. And it wasn't close. And the Patriots have been playing very good football. They really have. At their best this year, I'll remind you, they beat Miami, they beat the Raiders, they beat the Cardinals, they beat the Ravens. You know, they came a play away from beating Seattle. They came a play away from beating Buffalo. That's quality of opposition that the New England Patriots beat this year is really good. I got to get the Pats schedule up in front of me because I'm forgetting a team in there somewhere where it was like, yeah, they're good too. Yeah. While I'm doing that, let me just say, I expected the Patriots to upset the Rams. And let me tell you something. When you really think about when LA turned it around, oh yeah, not that it's a quality win, but when you beat the Chargers 45-0. 45-0. Chargers are a talented team. They have a bad head coach, but they're a talented team. 45-0. That, so like think about what the Rams just did. They took a team in the Patriots coming off a 45-0 stomping on the road of another LA team, right? And that's after beating an NFC West team. Any win against the NFC West is good. After beating one of the Rams' rivals, after beating the other LA team. and it was not close. And so let me tell you when it really turned around for the Rams. This is a couple of years ago. Remember when they signed Andrew Whitworth? I know this is not a sexy thing to talk about, the left tackle. At the time, the Giants, I'm a huge Giants fan, at the time the Giants really need to rework their offensive line. And the Giants front office felt that Whitworth was too old. I think he's like 35 or 34 at the time. And to give him a big, big money deal, even though he was an elite left tackle, didn't make sense for them because he's going to age poorly through the contract. As soon as Whitworth started on that offensive line for the Rams became a powerhouse. Do you remember that? Remember how Gurley looked behind that line? Remember how Goff looked behind that line? A powerhouse. They were winning up front. You got Whitworth anchoring the offensive line at left tackle, protecting the blind side on one side, and on the other side you have Aaron Donald coming up through the middle. You're going to win the battle up front. Whitworth is hurt. Now, by the way, he's ahead of schedule with the knee, but he's hurt. You're doing this without Whitworth? The Rams are winning up front the way they are. I mean, on the defensive side, you understand. You have Aaron Donald. You have Ramsey covering guys. You have an elite defense. In terms of talent, maybe only the Bears, when you look at them in paper and you say, all right, that defense could be even better than the Rams if they're both firing on all cylinders. But in terms of, and right now the Saints are playing out of their mind. But in terms of talent on the defense, upper end talent, give me, LA is right there. Certainly top 5, maybe top 3, arguably top 2 in the NFL. So you expect them to win up front, right? But when the offensive line's winning up front without their left tackle, boy, the things are looking good. They're winning up front. See, because you think about the Rams have changed. I mentioned earlier when they lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots, the way we thought of LA. Think about this. That year, the Super Bowl everyone wanted to see was the Rams versus the Chiefs, the two most unstoppable offenses in the world. And by the way, early in that season, we favored the Rams because the Chiefs were not good defensively and LA had the chance to be, right? But that was an attacking offense. That was play action with Gurley and spreading it around with the receivers. And you think of LA that way. And you still think of them that way. Cooper Kupp is still there, and Robert Woods still there, and they can, and Jared Goff spreads it around. And by the way, Cam Akers, I guess that draft pick's working out. But as you've heard from Casey Joyner, the football scientist on this show, it's run blocking, so they're getting it up front. But they got a guy who can carry the ball too, don't they? Yeah, but they're not the same team that they were a couple years ago. This is not. You're playing the LA Rams. It's this dynamic offense and a defense better than the other teams who have dynamic offenses. It's not that anymore. It's you're playing the LA Rams, and that defense will kill you, and they can score points. But when you think of the Rams now, what do you think of primarily? Which side of the ball? Because to tell you the truth, I think they're better defensively than offensively. I think they have more high-pitched talent on the defensive side of the ball than on the offensive side of the ball. That's a big win for LA. Big win for LA. And it cripples the Patriots. It cripples the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots lose 24-3 in a game where they were the underdogs on the road, 4.5-point underdogs, but I was confident taking them in the upset. And by the way, in terms of NFC teams that aren't the Giants, I root for the Rams. I was out in LA for 6 years. I was there when they got the team. I was one of the people campaigning on the radio for LA to get the team. So as long as they don't play the Giants, I root for them. But that doesn't mean I think they're just going to win every game. I thought the Patriots were going to get them because I thought Belichick had something for Jared Goff. No, he didn't. Not when the Rams went up front the way they did. Cam Akers, 171 yards rushing. And New England was held to 62 yards in the second half. LA defense, 6 sacks and a pick 6. See, the thing is, well, Ryan Clark is on the line now. That was Straight Talk Wireless, everything for less, only at Walmart. RC, I'm just talking about the LA Rams, how a couple years ago it was all about, this dynamic offense. And they were the favorites early in that season because they can also play defense. And now you got to adjust your thinking. They win the battle at the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball. But to me, they have more talent on the defensive side, RC.
No, they absolutely do. This defense used to be about Aaron Donald and Aaron Donald only. What could he create? What could he do? Now you look at having Floyd on the outside, Brocker stepping up. Also, you have dynamic linebackers in Kenny Young that run sideline to sideline. And you can't forget this back end, though. Like, Jalen Ramsey is obviously the linchpin. He's the superstar back there. Darius Williams with 4 picks this year. Troy Hill being able to move around. If you ever watch their secondary, you see 3 different guys line up in the slot or line up outside. They bring David Long off the bench. 2 very good, young, smart, physical safeties. Like, this defense is tough. Like, this defense is real. They can pressure you. They can pressure you with 4, obviously, because of what AB can do. And this team is built to win. It's really based on how intent Sean McVay is on sticking to the run and how that affects and helps Jared Goff in the pass game.
You know what's crazy? When they were kind of redoing things, and I don't remember, had they just signed Marcus Peters and then they trade for Ramsey and then they let Peters walk out? I'm like, wait a minute. What kind of sense does this make? Why don't you have an all-world, secondary? But Peters was criticized by some whatever, but obviously he's thrived away from them. But it's an upgrade. I mean, in Ramsey, how many guys are better than him at the position in the league, RC?
I mean, talent-wise, none. Absolutely zero. And that's when you include the guys like Stephon Gilmore, Xavier Howard, Tre'Davious White, who are all pro caliber defensive backs and corners as well. But we look at somebody as long, as physical, as versatile from a position standpoint as Jalen Ramsey is, and also the ability to do anything technique-wise where it's built in to your coverage. I think, there's not really a player like him in the secondary, a unique chess piece for the Rams and defensive back coach, Aubrey Pleasant. And so when he's playing at the top of his game, which we've seen him do a lot this year, whether it's DK Metcalf, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Mike Evans, all these different spots they've been using him in, some games where he's, lined up or Zach Ertz allows 0 catches. I think he's a tremendous piece to what they can do, and that's really helped them become better. The trade was the right trade to make. The deal was the right deal to make.
That's Ryan Clark on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Yeah, Ryan, I mean, you look at Seattle, they have elite playmakers at linebacker and safety, right? But those are the wrong 2 positions. If you're going to have, the best guy in the league, have it on your defensive line and a corner, a shutdown corner. And as you mentioned, the Rams have a lot of other pieces. From the Patriots' point of view, I really thought that the Patriots were going to upset them. I did not know they would be dominated on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball to the extent that they were. Cam did not look good, and he was sat down, Ryan. But after the game, Belichick says he's still the quarterback. Now, let me tell you where I am, and then I want to hear you. I was arguing about this with Stephen A. Smith on First Take earlier today. Can Cam ever be an elite quarterback again? And don't tell me he was never an elite quarterback, because he was voted by his peers best player in the game in the middle of Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees' primes, right? Cam was the best player in the game according to other NFL players, and he won MVP, and he took his team to a Super Bowl. But he's never been judged by traditional quarterback numbers because he's not a traditional quarterback. And I look at him now, Ryan, and I see a player coming off a catastrophic injury in a brand new system with a brand new coach that has 0 offensive weapons. Like his receivers make him worse because no one is ever open, right? Just like it was bad for Brady last year. He got COVID this year. They don't have talent on the offense. They need to practice more, right? They didn't get to practice as much. Then he had to recover from COVID. All these things, they're 6-7. It's not like they have a terrible record. They're a couple plays away from being 8-5. It's not that bad, and yet I hear a lot of people talking about, and I was arguing today against Stephen A., he's never going to be elite again. I think it's too early to tell. What do you think?
It's probably too early to tell, but that doesn't mean that people won't predict it and still assume that it's so, if you can understand what I'm saying. It's probably too early to tell, but when you've been Cam Newton, when you've reached the heights that Cam Newton has reached, and now you see this fall off, you feel like there's no in-between for you. You feel like if you can't get the good of Cam, do you necessarily want any of it? What else does he bring to your team? And it seems like New England has truly enjoyed having him around the building. They love the way that he works, the way that he prepares. But when you look at the on-field play and you think about the last 3 games, probably not adding up to some of the games the elite quarterbacks have had and won, it starts to make you doubt, can he truly do it? You know, you truly start to feel like, okay, is this Cam Newton a guy that can run a team? Is this Cam Newton a guy that can get you to the playoffs? And you are exactly right. You think get into the end zone against Seattle, don't fumble the ball against the Buffalo Bills, and that's 2 wins right there. And we're maybe talking about this season differently, but with the record being what it is, with watching the offense, who obviously doesn't have the skill needed outside, not be able to pass the football, that usually comes back and falls on the quarterback, and unfortunately it falls on Cam now.
But that's why I like one-loss record for quarterbacks. I know that's the dumb, like, typical sports radio guy take, and maybe that's me. But I think it's significant because coach-quarterback combination will determine one-loss record more than all other factors combined, really, if you look around the NFL. And Cam is 6-7. Ryan, he's 6-7. He just got to the team. He's recovering from catastrophic injury. He has a coach who's now using the opposite kind of player that he just had, right? Like, everything's opposite. He has 0 receivers, not a single, like, he has got no weapons. They get no separation. No one is ever open. It's unbelievable. And he had COVID this year. They're 1 game below 500 right now. Like, I don't know. To me, it seems like if Brady last year was kind of a middle-of-the-pack quarterback and everyone blamed the receivers, but Brady had been there for 20 years with the same coach, knew it inside and out, right? Yeah. And they had more talent on that team, at least defensively, if not offensively. I'm not prepared to say Cam is done. And you know what else, RC? I love the way he's talking to the media now. He's not like hesitating and thinking, what's the PC answer? He drank the Belichick Kool-Aid, and he is spitting out the right kind of NFL quarterback answers. He takes responsibility. Like, compare him to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz moping and sounding like a brat after being benched. Cam is there taking responsibility, sounding like a pro and a leader. I don't know. I like what I see this year.
No, I like what I see from Cam as a person, as a leader. I think this is exactly what you've always wanted him to be. I think perspective is everything, right, Max? If this is Cam's 2nd year in the league, and, you know, say he's drafted where Jarrett Stidham is, and this is what this offense looks like, and the post-game press conferences are what they are. We're talking about and speaking about Cam Newton differently. We're saying we think we could see this guy grow into being an elite quarterback. We think we could see this guy grow into being a franchise quarterback, into being an organizational leader in the face of the franchise. But that's not where we are perspective-wise, right? We're on a guy who's on the other side of 30, who we saw be the best player in the world for an entire year in 2015. So we're looking at it from the top of the mountain, not the bottom. And when you look at it from the top of the mountain, all you continue to see is the descension. You're not expecting him to climb and get to those peaks. You're expecting it to keep descending from there. And so when you do that and you project that forward, you say to yourself, okay, do we expect him to be a better passer, a better player next year than he is this? And I think most people will say no, because there were already doubts coming into the season.
Get him a wideout, they can get an inch of daylight between him and a player in the secondary. So now let's move on to Steelers-Bills, talk about trajectory and projections. The Steelers, look, they had 3 games in 13 days, Ryan Clark on the Shell Penzo Performance Line Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio. They had 3 games in 13 days. They looked tired at the end of the 3rd game. They had a 2-touchdown lead. They looked tired. They wore out against a good defense, and they lost the game. Okay, that is what it is. And again, they're not on full rest, taking on an ascending Buffalo Bills team. And Ryan Clark, I think that Josh Allen's the 3rd best quarterback in the AFC right now, behind Mahomes, of course, and then Deshaun Watson. I like the Bills in this game, but it's not really commentary on the Steelers. I just think they're still going to be a little worn out. They're still not on full rest, and the Bills are ascending. Your thoughts on Bills-Steelers? Yeah,
I picked the Steelers just because of my loyalty to them. I'm not necessarily tied to that pick in any strategical way. I think I'm hoping against hope that they find some of that Steeler magic and pull this game out, because a lot of times that's what I was a part of, being a part of that organization. But, yeah, you look at Josh Allen, I think, you definitely put him in that conversation for the 3rd best quarterback in the AFC. I'm not really sure who else is in that conversation with him. I think it's Lamar Jackson from last year, but not this year. And so
Justin Herbert going forward.
Yeah. Also, too, the other thing I think we have to remember when looking at Josh Allen is, we start to kind of get rose-colored glasses because of recency bias, right? You know, there was a time during the season, you go to the Tennessee Titans, you go to the Kansas City Chiefs, even the game at home that they won the week after, he didn't play well, right? You go back to the Arizona Cardinals, the reason we have an opportunity to see the Hail Murray is because Josh Allen throws a football to Patrick Peterson. He throws a football to Drake Kirkpatrick to allow the Arizona Cardinals to climb back in. Yes, he does lead the drive to take the lead, but the reason the game is close is Josh Allen, right? The reason we know Anthony Lynn made mistakes as a coach against the Buffalo Bills is not because the Chargers fought so hard and they were in it and the coaching took them out of it. It's that Josh Allen fumbled the football. It's that Josh Allen throws an interception that's unacceptable to Mike Davis, falling back away from pressure and underthrowing Stephon Diggs. And so he still has the propensity to make those type of mistakes. And, yes, there's the running around. The accuracy has improved. He obviously has Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley, which adds to what he can do against man-to-man coverage. But I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they rush in the proper way, if they disguise properly on the back end, can create some turnovers. And I think creating turnovers against Josh Allen is the only way to win. If Josh Allen protects the football against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't think they have what it takes from the numbers they've lost defensively, from the way that they depend on Ben Roethlisberger offensively to beat the Buffalo Bills.
Thanks, Ryan. Always appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Meantime, just FYI, everybody, the Bills have beaten the Dolphins, the Rams, the Raiders, the Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Niners this year. They got a lot of quality wins. A lot of quality wins. We're about to find out if a team left for dead, speaking of quality wins, is for real or not. New York, the New York Football Giants. It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. Cough button around here. Will I give the Knicks a chance this preseason? The answer to that, on no doubt, coming up in a bit. And by no doubt, let me just say my answer is in the title. No, I doubt it. You can reach me. Oh, what bums the Knicks are. You can reach me at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3.
Yeah, Max, you just a tease blower upper. That's what I'm gonna call you.
I don't care.
You're habitual.
What kind of a tease is that? Everyone knows. Talking to Raj Groves, my producer in Los Angeles. Everyone knows. You know, it's COVID, so I'm in New York. He's in Los Angeles. Everyone knows the Knicks have no shot at anything and that they're a laughing stock and that New York belongs to the Brooklyn Nets.
You know how much thought and passion I put into writing these teases, and you're just a habitual tease blower upper. I'm getting sick of it. Go ahead.
The Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio, ESPN Plus, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and on your smart speaker, 888-SAY-ESPN. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join us in the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. So the Rams are for real. We saw that against the Patriots. Like they were 4.5-point favorites at home, but I thought the Pats, coming off a 45-0 destruction of the Chargers in L.A., were going to beat them. I thought they were going to forget about beating the spread. I thought they were going to beat the Rams outright. And it's not that the Rams are so bad or anything. I thought the Rams are pretty good. But the Rams are better than pretty good, and they did it without Whitworth, the left tackle, who, remember a couple years ago when everyone was talking about they have 3 MVPs, Gurley and Goff, about 2/3 of the way through the season. And also Gurley, Goff, and obviously Aaron Donald. Whitworth needs to be mentioned in that kind of a group in terms of the most important players on the team, and he's not even playing right now. But there's another team in a major market that we're going to find out whether or not they're real, who is also, like the Rams, in first place. At least they're in a tie. The New York Football Giants. And I was suspicious of the Joe Judge hire. I thought, yeah, I get it. He's a Belichick disciple, but Belichick disciples don't do anything in the NFL. That's starting to change, right? It's starting to change. Look at Flores in Miami. Look at Vrabel. Look at Joe Judge. And when Joe Judge started in with this, coaches are running laps, and he gets into a fight with Colombo, the defensive coordinator, and he fires him. And I don't know, just the way he was operating seemed Bush League to me. It seemed like a guy who wants to be a tough guy like some Belichick disciple, but doesn't have the chops, doesn't have the credibility, and it's going to backfire. But that's not what happened. How do you get a team to buy in when you act the way Joe Judge did? By making them believe through your behavior, through their experience with you, that you follow through, that you walk the walk, you don't just talk the talk, and that you put them, most importantly, in positions to succeed. So who did Joe Judge bring in to replace Colombo? Patrick Graham. What a job Patrick Graham has done with this defense. And look, they have some talent. And Blake Martinez isn't even, he hasn't, he's been hurt, but Jabril Peppers and Leonard Williams, and they got some guys on defense. But those same guys weren't performing with the last defensive coordinator like they are with Patrick Graham. I have to tell you, tell me teams in the NFL with a better defense than the Giants right now. The Saints? Yep. Right now, yes, the Saints. Although the Saints haven't been playing high-powered offenses. The Giants just got done with the Seahawks. How's that for an offense? But the Seahawks did struggle with the Eagles as well. Still. The Bears, I just mentioned the Rams. These are like really high-pitched talent defenses. The Saints. How many more teams would you say, yep, they got a better defense than the Giants? Think about that for a second. They were winning with Colt McCoy and no Saquon. I like Gallman too, but not Saquon Barkley. No Daniel Jones, no Saquon Barkley, and the defense is carrying this team. You got to give, are the Giants real? Okay, go beat Arizona. Go beat Arizona. 5-8, a lot different than 6-7, isn't it? Right? All of a sudden you look up. And by the way, we have to stop saying it's the worst division in the history of football. The Giants and the Washington franchise are respectable teams right now. Right now, they're respectable teams. Let's see where they end. If no one has more than, if the winner of the division has 7 wins and no one else has 6 or something like that, I get it. But if the Giants are even 500 at the end of this year, especially the way they've been improving, I don't think you can call it the worst division ever anymore. Giants and Washington are good. Washington just beat Pittsburgh. The Giants beat Arizona this week. Yeah, I think you can say that they're real. That's a real team. And then they're going to get Daniel Jones back. They ain't getting Saquon back this year. But they're getting Daniel Jones back. And don't forget, the issue with running backs, it's all about run blocking. If you get good run blocking, a great back will get you 10 yards, a good back or an average back will get you 7. 7 yards a carry, 10 is better, obviously, but if you're getting 7 yards a carry, guess what? You're going to run the ball a lot. You're going to be very successful. The real premium of a bell cow back is that they're as good, according to Casey Joyner, the football scientist, as good on their 300th carry as they are on their first. They don't wear down, right? And that frees up like a roster spot. That's the real premium of a running back. And I would argue in Saquon's case, also, the way he works is probably helpful to his teammates. Good example. The way he deals with the media, the same thing. I would say the way he can catch passes and break big plays. Like Saquon introduces a fear factor in the other team because there's no one in the NFL, no one, including Tyreek Hill or anyone, who's more dangerous in terms of every time they touch a ball, it could be a touchdown. Saquon's that kind of player. He touches the ball, and he was doing this behind that offensive line. Giants' O-line's gotten better. Imagine what he's going to do when he gets back, but that's not this year. This year, Daniel Jones is coming back, and it's much more important to have to have the marginal utility, meaning how beneficial it is to you, as you increase your kind of your output, is more important for a quarterback. Like getting the quarterback helps you more, is what I'm trying to say, than getting your running back. And Daniel Jones is already, I'd say he's a tick below average NFL starter, but he's only in his second year. And he's way better than Colt McCoy right now. At least he's better. Yeah, if the Giants beat the Cardinals, they're going to win the division. They will have proven they're real. And furthermore, who would want to play them in the first round? Like, I know if I was the fan of another team and I saw a defense like that, yeah, you got the Giants in the first round. Damn. The debate continues. Is Diehard a Christmas movie? No doubt's next. It's V Week, and during these challenging times, ESPN and the V Foundation's fight against cancer is not stopped. If you are able, EN 888-729-3776, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Quoting home insurance just got easier with Progressive Home Quote Explorer, quote and buy, all online at progressive.com. Gonna get right down to it.
We got you covered.
Let me tell you what I think it means.
No doubt.
All right, Max. Record-wise, this matchup, not much to see here. But between the Cowboys and Bengals, do you expect Andy Dalton to get revenge versus his former team?
I do.
That's not how you play.
I think, no doubt. I think that I'm going to have to take at least one Cowboys receiver in DraftKings. I think I'm going to have to take at least one Cowboys receiver in DraftKings. The Cowboys have no offensive line, and they're not running the ball.
Right.
And they're going to have to put up, points somehow. And the Bengals do not have a good defense. So yeah, I think Dalton has a good shot to get revenge on it, and he's motivated. Of course, Dalton will be motivated. What else?
We had a debate earlier this week about Diehard being a Christmas movie or not. Check out this special voice memo, from friend of the show, from the Daily Show on Comedy Central.
Very funny.
Roy Wood Jr.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Die Hard literally starts at a holiday party, and then a dude comes in and ruins the holiday party, which is exactly what you should do to a holiday party. Not only was Hans Gruber the hero, John McClane was the Grinch. Hans Gruber came in and gave the people of Nakatomi Plaza the most memorable holiday party they will ever remember. It's 1,000% a Christmas movie.
Yes, he's right. It is a Christmas movie, no doubt. It is. By the way, and I looked into this. That's right. They're always released on Christmas, right? I mean, like the movies are released on Christmas, and then, by the way, Raj, the movie takes place during Christmas. And then they have Christmas themed music.
Was released in July.
Christmas
Spencer, give him some knowledge.
The movie was released in July, first of all. And second of all, like, I don't think of Christmas with, like, weapons and stuff. That gives me no Christmas vibes.
Right.
Well, obviously, you never saw any of South Park Christmas specials.
All right, moving on. There you go.
Or Teen Titans Go.
And Roy Wood Jr., thank you for that. He did send me that voice memo because he heard us debating about it. But
fine, it wasn't released on Christmas, but
they
should be.
Stuff.
And by the way, Die Hard 3, little underrated. I didn't love it the first time I saw it. I caught it, years later on cable, and I said, that's a little underrated.
All right, switching gears. Hey, this weekend, it's Frank Sinatra's birthday. Max, you can get with some Frank Sinatra.
No doubt. Sinatra? Let me tell you something. I grew up, the music that my dad played in the house was like a big band and Motown. Okay. But more than any other music, and then hip-hop really came out in force, like in the record industry in the early 80s. It was over. That's mainly what I listened to. But Sinatra was on in my, if we were ever in a car, we lived in New York, so my dad would rent a car if we ever had to leave, But Sinatra was playing the whole time. If you ever went into a room my dad was in, and he wasn't watching TV or working on something, even if he was working, Sinatra was playing. It was Sinatra. I wanted to be Sinatra when I was a kid.
All right, cool guy. He would have been 105 in case you were wondering. All right, hey, check it out. What New York's been waiting for. NBA preseason starts tonight. Max will give the Knicks a chance and watch some Knicks preseason.
I'm trying to think. Instead of saying nah, son, could I say, have you lost your mind?
Come on, man. It's the new season.
Who would do that to
new
themselves?
Hope, new season.
Who would watch the Knicks? What, did I lose a bet? Am I a political prisoner? What just happened?
Oh, come on.
That's like a violation of the Geneva Convention to be forcing someone to watch the Knicks. That's a war crime.
What if you see something like you got the rookie, Obi-Wan?
That sad sack, sorry franchise. Year in and year out, running out a hopeless roster. Give me a break. And by the way, even when they were good, they weren't great.
All right.
And you think this is all New York deserves? Come on. By the way, it doesn't. Here's the other thing, Raj. The Knicks don't even matter. They don't register anymore. No one cares. The only thing New York cares about in basketball right now are the Nets. They're the only relevant team in New York basketball. And it's not coincidental that as soon as another New York option is presented to the fans, they don't care about the Knicks anymore. Like, realize for years they were the only game in town, so you had to care about them, right? As soon as another option's there, goodbye Knicks. When I did the old Max Kellerman show in New York, I realized Hey, the Angels are the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They're not even in Los Angeles, but they call themselves. LA is like big enough. So I realized, why do we have to follow the Knicks? Let me take an area close enough to the Knicks that you can consider like part. So I said, how about the Cleveland Cavaliers, since they have LeBron James? We'll call them the New York Cavs of Cleveland. And we used to follow them. We used to have Mike Brown, the coach of the Cavs, appear on the Max Kellerman show as the coach of the New York Cavs of Cleveland. We used to follow them like they were the local team because there was no other option in New York. As soon, like this, see, I'm snapping into the microphone. Hear that? Hear that? As soon, like this, as there was a single other option in New York basketball, the Knicks are yesterday's news. Bums. No one cares. Irrelevant. Boring. Torture to watch. It's all about the Nets. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Even the controversy with Kyrie. At least it's exciting. NFC teams better take ESPN Radio, ESPN Plus, ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and other smart speakers. So tempted. Take the Dolphins. Big upset. NFL Whip Around coming up. You can reach me at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. Cam Newton, after the Patriots lose, being asked about being benched.
Coach took you out of the game with a little over 10 minutes left. Are you concerned about not or being benched for next week or anything like that?
That's not my call. I'm just doing what I'm asked. I have to still go into each and every week with the mentality to keep getting better, and that's what I plan on doing.
Compare that to what Carson Wentz sounded like when he was asked about it. Carson Wentz sounded like a whiny little kid, like a spoiled brat, to tell you the truth. I was very disappointed. I was hoping Carson would get up there like a man, say, look, I haven't played well. I left coach no choice. I have to be better. Show some leadership. Cam got up there and he said, you just heard him. That's not my call. It's coach's call. I have to work on getting better. That's right. Yes, he does. He knows it. Cam's been around the block. He's been a league MVP. Not an almost MVP who then got hurt and someone else won the Super Bowl. Not a guy who the next season brought, like the team was just flat with him. And you heard reports out of the locker room that they preferred Nick Foles. Sure enough, Wentz gets hurt. Is 5-6 at the time that Foles takes over, catches fire. Foles catches fire. They go to the playoffs. Not that guy. Cam Newton was a league MVP. Cam Newton took a team to the Super Bowl with no offense. And he's been around the block, and he no longer sounds uncomfortable in his own skin. He doesn't have to pause and think about the right PC answer to a question. He just right out with it, and it's right on the money. I think the Belichick pairing with Cam has been very fruitful. By the way, for both guys, say whatever you want, Belichick had Stidham as a quarterback. That's what Brady left him with. Got Garoppolo shipped out of town. Stidham was standing there. And instead, Cam Newton has them 2 plays away from being 8-5 this season. Instead, they're 6-7. But again, with wins over the Miami Dolphins, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Arizona Cardinals. They got quality wins. The Baltimore Ravens. Patriots got some quality wins. And Cam's been a part of that. When did the team fall apart? Really, how did the season fall apart for the Patriots? If indeed, it looks like they won't make the playoffs. They have a 6% chance or something. How did it happen? It happened just now against the Rams. They got dominated on the line of scrimmage? No. It happened when Cam got COVID. That's when it happened. They beat the Dolphins. They lost by 1 play, a goal line stand to the Seahawks in a great game. Cam looked like an MVP along with Russell Wilson that game. I thought it was the crispest game of the season early on. Then they beat the Raiders. And then Cam got COVID. And what happened? They lost to the Chiefs, but they played him well, but they lost to the Chiefs. And maybe had Cam been healthy and in the game, things would have been different. And then they come back, and they lose a couple more games to the Broncos. Again, this is during a time where the facilities are shut down and they can't really practice, and this is a team without a lot of talent. Belichick's planning and strategizing and practicing are what would help them. And they couldn't practice because COVID shut the facilities down. They had less practice than other teams. And no quarterback. And when he got back, he was feeling the lingering effects of COVID. So they lost 2 more games. That's what buried them. The fact that Cam even had him in a position where they might have won the Bills game is amazing. He got stripped near the goal line, right? on a drive that would have won the game. Looked like it was going to. And that was a devastating loss, no doubt. And they eke by the Jets. Then they beat the Ravens. The game to the Texans, they lost. But hey, listen, Deshaun Watson has caught fire. He's reestablished himself as the second-best quarterback in the AFC. And the Patriots aren't so good. They're going to win every game. I mean, if you look at what the Patriots had last year, Tom Brady looked ordinary, right? And part of that is his decline because of age. And part of it was, as people kept saying, he had no receivers. There was someone posted something interesting I read this morning about how people talk about an offensive line. I forgot who it was, or I'd credit them. An offensive line, when they play poorly, can often make a quarterback look bad. He doesn't have enough time to get rid of the ball, right? But Cam's receivers are making him look bad because they're never open. And by the way, if they weren't open for Tom Brady, they have less in that department than Brady had to work with last year. But the difference is Brady had his head coach in the same system for 20 years. Cam just got there, and he's coming off a catastrophic injury, and he got COVID, right? And yet somehow they're 6-7. A lot of the reason Belichick likes Cam so much, he obviously has an affinity for Cam, is because of the way Cam is carrying himself around that facility. He's showing leadership. He's showing work ethic. He's showing passion, drive, competitiveness. Like, Belichick is clearly fond of the guy. Wants him to succeed. Now, if Cam can't do the job or Belichick finds someone who could do it better, Belichick will cut your throat in a second, right? Like, okay, someone else could do it better. But right now, he believes Cam gives him the best chance, and he, furthermore, likes the influence Cam has on the team. When you look around the league, look at the teams who are consistently competitive, coach and quarterback. Number one most important guy is the coach. Number two is the quarterback. Coach and quarterback. That's why when people are like, decrying people using quarterback records to judge quarterbacks, I really disagree. I think quarterback records are a pretty good way to judge quarterbacks. They're not perfect. It's not cause and effect. You have a great quarterback, now you'll be great. But there's a strong positive correlation between good quarterbacks and good records. That doesn't mean if a quarterback has a bad record, he's necessarily bad. Or if he has a good record, he's necessarily good. But by and large, the good quarterbacks have good one-loss records. And largely that's also because the good coaches want that quarterback, right? They identify the guy. I want that guy. So when people tell you Garoppolo's no good, really? That's why Belichick wanted him. That's why Shanahan wanted him. That's why whenever he plays, they almost always win. And whenever he doesn't play, they almost always lose. No, it's because the good coaches see, I want that guy. He's a good quarterback. He's going to win. That's why Garoppolo has a good one-loss record. Why do you think he joined a team that never won? San Francisco couldn't buy a win. Went 5-0 with that team. Then he got hurt. Then the following year, they went like 3-13. Maybe it was like 4-12, something like that. Then he got back the next year, and they flipped it around. They went 13-3. What, do you think that's coincidental? No. Cam being 6-7 right now, having COVID this year, coming off a catastrophic injury in a new system with defections off the defense because of COVID before the season ever started, and Gilmore getting hurt and zero offensive weapons, that tells me Cam can still play. I know he's not passing for a lot of yards, but it tells me he can still play. Dave in Dallas, you're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio.
Yeah, Max, there is no way that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. You have to have Christmas in the plot line. There's no Christmas in the plot line. Think of The Ref.
That's
a Christmas
party,
movie.
Dude. Wait a minute. What was a Christmas movie?
The Ref. Dennis Leary.
I didn't see The Ref. I like Dennis Leary, but I didn't see The Ref. But wait a minute. He was at a holiday party. He was at a holiday party, right? Remember that whole thing with his wife, and he had to go to the Nakatomi Plaza, whatever it was? He was at a holiday party, and there was Christmas music playing, and the soundtrack has Christmas in Hollis. How is that not a Christmas movie?
Max, that's your set design and your ambiance. That has nothing to do with the plot.
Yes.
It can't be a Christmas movie unless it's in the plot.
I disagree. I think it can be a Christmas movie, even if it's not in the plot. It's a Wonderful Life. Had Christmas in the plot, but because it didn't happen on Christmas at the end. Wasn't it Christmas when everyone chipped in the money and they saved the savings and loan? I think it was. I don't remember. But the point was, Christmas wasn't central to the plot. And yet It's a Wonderful Life is probably the number one Christmas movie. Miracle on 34th Street, obviously a Christmas movie. Toy Story, obviously a Christmas movie. But It's a Wonderful Life, it's not really about Christmas, but that's a great Christmas movie. And so is Die Hard. Furthermore, why not have a different genres of movie represented in Christmas movies? We can't have an action movie that's a Christmas movie?
Max, you think you're sitting around, people are going to be sitting around coming this week, drinking whatever you guys drink, eggnog and stuff, and then be like...
What do you mean, you guys? What do you mean, you guys?
No, I'm saying.
First of all, I don't do Christmas.
All right, well,
that's first of all. I'm doing my Hanukkah right now. I'm in the middle of Hanukkah. We did our first night last night.
Whoever's sitting around Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever you celebrate.
You know what I got for Hanukkah, by the way? First night, I got a gift.
Oh.
I got 2 complete sets of baseball cards, one from '87 and one from '88. And I'm less prepared for my job today.
Oh, you're sitting there nerding out.
I started going through all the cards. I make little teams. I make little trades.
All right, but before we get to the NFL, you are a nerd to another level. Before we get to the,
I can't help it. I like baseball cards.
People are going to be sitting around in a couple weeks. Oh, babe, drinking like I say,
those wood border. Hold on, those wood border Topps cards with that little Don Mattingly.
All right. No one's going to be like, oh, yeah. Hey, grab the DVD. Let's watch a Christmas movie. Oh, I know, babe. Let's see Bruce Willis and Die Hard. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Ain't nobody doing that, man. Do the shell and then do the whip around.
First of all, it is a Christmas movie. All guests join us in the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Steelers at Bills.
All right. Bills are going to beat the Steelers. The Steelers are tired, and they're still going to be tired. They're still on a short week. They're missing a day of rest here. Remember when the Steelers got their schedule all messed around with because of the Titans' COVID outbreak and then the Ravens' COVID outbreak? The real mess around was they lost their later season bye when they would have needed it, and they had to take it in like week 4. But they were going to get a mini bye later on. That went by the wayside. And then they just played 3 games in 13 days, had a lead against Washington, 2-touchdown lead where they almost always win in the Roethlisberger era, 109-2-1. But they collapsed at the end because they're fatigued. Well, this week, they're still going to be feeling the effects of the fatigue. Next week, they play a Monday Night Football game. They get a little bit extra rest, and they're not playing a good team. But you're playing the Buffalo Bills, who are surging. You're playing the Buffalo Bills right now, the surging Bills on, you're now your 4th game in 19 days. You ain't going to win that game, especially not the way Josh Allen's playing. The Bills are going to beat the Steelers.
Vikings at Buccaneers.
At home, by the way. Also, the Steelers are on the road. The Vikings at the Bucs. By the way, the Vikings aren't that good. I don't know how, they made a little run through the NFC North. They beat the Packers, they beat the Bears, they beat the Lions. The Packers is the real quality win there, obviously. But they're not that good. They then lost to the Cowboys. And since then, they're squeaking by Jacksonville and Carolina, squeaking by them. They're just not that good. The Bucs, whatever you want to say about them, the over-under wins for them this season was 9.5 because they have a really good defense, and they had a good enough offense that even with Jameis Winston's 30 interceptions to the tune of 112 points for the other team, they were still 7-9. So just put in a competent quarterback and be 9-7. And Brady gives you a little premium over competence. So, even at his age, so maybe. So, you said 9.5 is the over-under. That's what the odds makers thought, and I agreed. I'd take the over. I'd take 10 wins. Guess what? They have 4 games left to play, and they got 7 wins. The Bucs are either going to have 10 or 11 wins this year, which is what most people figured them to have.
Cardinals at Giants.
I like the Giants in an upset here. I don't even think it's that big an upset the way that both teams have been playing recently. First of all, they're at Giants. And you can say, well, it's not the same, no crowd, but part of it's travel and part of it's where you feel comfortable. The Giants' defense has been balling. Patrick Graham, what an upgrade at defensive coordinator. By the way, also off the Belichick coaching tree. Patrick Graham has done, by the way, a Yale graduate, has done such an unbelievable job with this defense. And they have some talent on it. But how many defenses right now are playing better than the New York Football Giants? Are they an elite defense? They're trending that way, actually. I like the Giants to beat Arizona at home in a close call. But from what I've seen in this Giants defense, I believe in them. Who's next?
Chiefs at Dolphins.
I am so sorely tempted to pick the Dolphins in an upset here. The Chiefs have not been playing exceptionally well by their standards, especially on defense. The Dolphins have a real defense, and they're at home. And both the Bills and the Dolphins, smell blood in the water with the Patriots. Both of them want to assert themselves in the AFC East. Who is going to be in charge, top of the division for the first time in a billion years, right? Other than the Patriots. And they have a bright young quarterback with a future ahead of him and a real defense. As I said, I think the Chiefs are a 2-loss team this regular season. I think the next one's going to be to the Saints, who they play the following week. And then probably the Chiefs beat the Saints in a rematch in the Super Bowl. But the Dolphins are going to give them a run for their money. Chiefs will beat Miami on the road because when push comes to shove, Patrick Mahomes will turn it on, and there's not a lot you can do. Chiefs win the game.
Colts at Raiders.
It's an interesting matchup of two teams that you think of pretty much on the same tier, right? The Raiders looked like they were going to take a step forward this year. They're really built for the Chiefs. And they beat the Chiefs, and then they played them tough in a loss. And you thought, some people thought, Stephen A. Smith said, hey, they're their Super Bowl sleeper. Mine was the Dolphins of sleepers. Not that you're picking them, but you think maybe they're being slept on. They have a shot. But the Raiders have not been playing well at all. And the Colts have been playing better than the Raiders recently. You know, in spite of the drubbing at the hands of the Titans, the Colts have been playing better football. So even though they're on the road, I like them against Vegas. I think they are similarly talented teams. The Colts are a little better balanced and have been playing better recently. I like them too.
Saints at Eagles.
Woo, it's going to be a bloodbath. The Saints are going to kill the Eagles. Who's next? Wait a minute.
Texans at Bears.
Saints are playing great defense against bad teams, and so they have another bad team to play great defense against. What was it at Bears?
Texans
Who's playing the Bears?
At Bears.
Let's not sleep on the Bears' defense. The problem with the Bears is the offensive line. They can't run the ball, and they can't protect the quarterback because they can't block for the run or pass protect at all. They can play some defense, though. Ain't going to be enough against Deshaun Watson. I mean, Deshaun Watson is playing lights out. He is not, a lot of times I was thinking in recent years, I like Deshaun Watson. I'd pick him over a lot of guys where the statistics say otherwise, but I like the cut of his jib, I think he's a winner. But I was thinking, how much of that is because of college and the championship performance, and we kind of give him extra credit for being a winner. Is he really as good as I'm saying, or maybe am I kind of projecting that onto him a little bit? No. When a guy has what I just said that makes you want to squint and see things maybe that aren't quite there yet, when that guy starts actually putting up those numbers and playing like Superman, you know it's real. Deshaun Watson, were it not for Patrick Mahomes, would be the best quarterback in the AFC. As it is, he's the second best. He has enough to beat the Bears.
Packers at Lions.
Packers win. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson's the second best quarterback in the AFC. Aaron Rodgers is the second best quarterback in the NFL. Mahomes a little bit better than him, but part of that's because Mahomes has a little bit more of that. The team seems to like him a lot. Mahomes looks a little bigger and stronger. Mahomes has better weapons around him so he can put up bigger numbers. But could Aaron Rodgers do the same thing on the Chiefs that Mahomes is doing? Yeah, I think so. I think Mahomes could do what Aaron Rodgers is doing too, but I remember Bill James once saying this about Sandy Koufax and Lefty Grove, the all-time great starting pitchers. The phrase was, there's not a dime's worth of difference between them, but my nickel goes to Mahomes. But Rodgers is right there, and he has enough to beat Detroit.
Washington at San Francisco.
This is an interesting defensive matchup. I think I'm going to take the Niners defense to beat the Washington defense, but I'm going to do it for a couple reasons. Number one, I think Washington is probably feeling themselves after the win against the Steelers, but the Steelers faded because, again, they played 3 games in 13 days, and they were on short rest, and they haven't had a bye in a million years. And they still had a 2-touchdown lead. Alex Smith made a play, give him credit. But really, I think more than anything, that was an issue of Pittsburgh's fatigue catching up to them late in the game. The Niners can play defense. They upset the Rams not long ago. And I think because they're at home, they edge Washington in a low-scoring game. And that's it. I'm all done. Raj, no end music?
You know what? I was going to give you a little touchdown dance song, but I couldn't think of one. But we'll get you a little something next time. A little stinger.
Diehard is a Christmas movie. Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Apparently, none of you want to talk about sports. I mean, everything's lit up with Die Hard calls. Die Hard's the greatest action movie of all time, or at least at one point it was, and revolutionized film. And I have more to say about Die Hard, by the way. 'Twas the end of the year, and it's been less than fun. But as your business grows, you need to hire for 2021. Make hiring much faster and easier, most would agree, by going to ziprecruiter.com/max to try ZipRecruiter for free. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter say they get a quality candidate within the radio is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who save with Progressive save over $750 on average. Call or click today and find out if they could save you hundreds on your car insurance. Meantime, on the Dr. Pepper call-in line, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Ooh, a lot of people want to talk about Christmas movies and Die Hard. This is a sports show, but I suppose we can work that in. Just to ruin the suspense, it's a Christmas movie. You watch it during Christmas. They're at a holiday party at both times. It's centered around the holidays in Die Hard's 1 and 2. Die Hard 3 is not a Christmas movie. It's in the summer. But Die Hard's 1 and 2 are Christmas movies. Right? Centered around the holidays. There's snow and stuff in the second one. Christmas Time in Hollis by Run DMC. I think that's the title of the song, right? I don't remember. There it is. Play it. He even says it's Christmas time in Hollis, Queens. I mean, come on. What is the theme? Someone brought up the point earlier that it has to be like the movie itself has to be about Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life really wasn't about Christmas. I think that everyone, like the Christmas Miracle, was like everyone gave money to save the savings and loan at the end of the movie. But the movie wasn't about Christmas. So why does Die Hard have to be about Christmas to be a Christmas movie? Kyle in Tennessee, you're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio.
Yeah, hey Max, it is a holiday movie. It's a Christmas movie. So outside of the office party, the soundtrack kind of Let It Snow, Winter Wonderland, McClane's wife got a Christmassy name, Holly. And then when he throws the body down the elevator, he puts the note and a Santa hat on the guy that says ho ho ho. And it does have snow at the end. At the very end, it starts snowing in L.A.
That's right. By the way, another Christmas miracle. It's a Festivus miracle. Listen, Michael Thompson texted me. Michael Thompson, Clay's daddy, former number 1 overall pick in the NBA, 20-12 guy, won 2 championships with the Lakers. Know about Die Hard. It has violence in it. It's the opposite of the Christmas message. Peace, love, life, faith. Okay, it may be you don't approve of the kind of Christmas movie it is. Maybe you feel that the Christmas movie has been co-opted by Hollywood for commercial sake, right? For commercialism. But the fact is, it's a commercial holiday. It's the fact of the matter. It stimulates the economy. People give gifts. They spend a lot of money. Michael in Texas, you're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio.
Hey, Max. Just wanted to let you know, definitely a Christmas movie. If you don't think it is, you're a jabroni. But it's not the best Christmas movie. Best Christmas movie definitely is Small Soldiers. Dennis Leary, Frankie, what's his name? Frank Langella, Tommy Lee Jones, Phil Hartman.
Small Soldiers. Okay, all right, wait a minute. I've never seen that. I'm always looking for good Christmas movies for the kids. And it's true, I have not played them Die Hard, but the youngest is 5. Maybe she's a little young. Die Hard, by the way, changed action movies. But before Die Hard, you could get away with, like, Lethal Weapon, right? Lots of talking and plot and stuff. Die Hard came out, and it's one of the 2 movies I've ever seen. Please understand, I'm not saying it's the best movie ever. But it's one of the 2 movies I've ever seen where I say, that's perfect. Every frame of the film is perfect. Don't change anything. And where I think you could probably teach a film class just using that movie in terms of how to construct a movie. Die Hard is one, and The Untouchables is another. Like, I love certain gangster movies better than The Untouchables. The Godfather, both 1 and 2 I like better than The Untouchables. I like Once Upon a Time in America almost as much. And, by the way, Goodfellas better than The Untouchables. But in terms of perfect movie making, like classical movie making, you don't change a moment of The Untouchables. And same thing with Die Hard. It's perfect. But it changed action movies because the formula, as my late great brother Sam used to say, you put the hero in peril in situations where you know they're going to make it to the end, but you think, damn, how's he going to get out of this? And then the greater the peril, the more cleverly he has to use his environment to get out of it, the better the action movie. and there was no time to take a breath in Die Hard. You felt like every bullet had his name on it, right? I don't know. But anyway, I know that doesn't have to do with Christmas. However, it is a Christmas movie. I've decided. Ryan in California, you're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio.
Hey, Max. So here's the thing. If Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie, then neither is Home Alone.
Yeah.
They have the same premise.
Ooh.
You know, Michael Thompson just said it's because it has violence, so does Home Alone. So if Home Alone is a Christmas movie, so is Die Hard. Same premise, guy try to protect.
Home Alone is absolutely a Christmas movie. Although someone say, look, the violence in Home Alone is cartoonish. Some would say that even is more dangerous in a sense because when the violence is that cartoonish, it kind of cheapens violence and makes it seem okay in a way. I don't know. The point is, Christmas is central to the plot of Home Alone. So someone made the point earlier on that makes it a Christmas movie in a way Die Hard's not. News from Max Kellerman Nation. Ryan just hit us up on the Dr. Pepper calling line to say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and if it's not, Home Alone's not. I actually disagree with that. I think they're both Christmas movies, but I don't think you can say if Home Alone is, then Die Hard has to be too. Mark in Ohio, you're on the Max Kellerman Show.
Hey, Max. Hi, Max.
Hey,
was it Raj that was saying that he couldn't see families gathered around watching Die Hard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I called in to say Die Hard's definitely a Christmas movie, and I was definitely curled up with my 1-year-old and my mother watching Die Hard this last weekend because it's Christmas time. So
I could just see you with your 1-year-old and your mother saying "Yippee-ki-yay!" And I can't even finish the phrase.
Trouble if I try to say that.
Social services. I believe his name is Mark. He lives somewhere in Ohio. Let's try to get this. I'm just kidding, Mark. Happy holidays, Mark. Mike in California. You're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio.
Hey, Max, I'm not disputing that Die Hard's a Christmas movie, but if you're considering Die Hard a Christmas movie, then you got to consider Lethal Weapon and Iron Man 3. They take place over Christmas. They have Christmas music. And Lethal Weapon even has a holiday theme where there's even action sequences where they're at Christmas tree stores fighting and stuff. So you have to consider Lethal Weapon.
I got to tell you the truth. I've forgotten most of Lethal Weapon because Die Hard made aged Lethal Weapon immediately. It's the cop buddy movie moved slow compared to Die Hard. You know, the next evolution of the action movie from Die Hard was the Bourne movies. Die Hard, it was the perfect action movie, and action movies didn't really improve again until the Bourne movies, I think. Sid from North Carolina, you're on the Max Kellerman Show.
Hey, Max. I love what you're doing. I just got an NBA question for you. So,
yeah, perfect.
I personally feel that Larry Bird is forgotten and slept on nowadays. I have him at 5A.
I agree with that.
Yeah, exactly, man. I have him at 5A right behind LeBron at 5. Where do you rank?
Well, look. Larry Bird, what people forget is Magic Johnson had a longer career, and Magic kept getting better and eventually reached Bird levels. But when they were rivals facing each other, Bird was obviously better than Magic when Bird was in his prime. That's why he won 3 straight MVP awards. Larry Bird was like the alpha of the NBA before Jordan got there. Bird was a special all-time great. However, at this point, the reason I think he's not remembered more is, one, Jordan came around, and then everyone started becoming, being compared to Michael Jordan. And that's really the main reason. But two is, when LeBron came around, by this point, it's impossible to argue that Bird was better than LeBron, either at his peak or over his career. So Bird is no longer the greatest player even who played his own position, unless you want to call him a power forward and then say he's a little better than Tim Duncan was, which maybe you could argue. But I agree that he has been forgotten. People forget the peak of Larry Bird was the best in the NBA for several years. And really, when you were watching him, if you lived through his era, you I thought as a little kid, oh my God, I hated him because of the Celtics. I was a Knicks fan, but I thought I'm never going to see another player this good. And then Jordan came right along, and so I did. But other than Jordan, I can't say just eyeball test I've ever seen someone better. I know LeBron is better, but just watching Bird, you got the sense that only Jordan's better than that. Did the Clippers blow it already? 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Last take coming up. You know what's not healthy? Stressing about work, or maybe you're out of work. It's time to stop worrying and hit the reset button. You can start a new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months from the comfort of your own home, even if you have zero computer experience. Go to My Computer Career, look at little, like, not inflection points, but like certain moments in a guy's career that will kind of start to really alter their perception of them. The game he's coming off, if he has another game like that against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and don't forget, Pittsburgh is missing a day's rest right now still. This is their 4th game in 19 days. They looked tired last time out. And also don't forget, Brady is out. The Patriots aren't the same right now. And there's a chance who's going to establish themselves as the dominant team. And Miami's good, but they're playing the Chiefs. The Bills have a chance to put some daylight between themselves and the rest of the AFC East. And Josh Allen has a chance to really establish himself, out-dueling Ben Roethlisberger. It's a big game. Ben in South Carolina, you're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio.
Hey, Max. So first off, happy Hanukkah.
Go ahead, Ben. Oh, thank you very much.
Forget all this Christmas talk. But second, how many years do you think it's going to take the Jets to make the playoffs? I'm saying 3 to 4 from here.
Let me see. Let me just do some calculations here. You take the number of draft picks, where they might draft, and the development of the. I get the. Hold on. Carry the one. I get never. They're never going to make the playoffs again. The Jets are never going to make the playoffs. Johnson's got to sell the team. He's terrible. And the Jets have just a pathetic organization. It's pathetic. There's no other way to say it. They're a laughingstock. And there's no excuse. By the way, even if they identify talent in the draft, they can't develop it. They can't put that talent in winning positions. I don't think Darnold is a bad quarterback, but he might be from now on. Like, he may never reach his potential because the Jets may have ruined him. We'll see. David in New Jersey, you're on the Max Kellerman Show.
Hey, how are you? I just wanted to make a comment on Kyrie Irving's ranting. And I think sometimes the problem is that the media seems to equate income and ability with a logical thought process and someone who knows what they're talking about. I mean, we're talking about Kyrie Irving, the same guy who thought the world was flat, and somehow...
Well, listen, Kyrie always... It's very important for Kyrie. It's pretty obvious that people consider him smart. In terms of the stuff he makes, like the movies, the movie he made, I heard was good. It's quality stuff. He runs his business pretty well. He shows some intelligence there. But in terms of his public statements, I've yet to see any evidence that he's smart. He's not articulate. He may have strong feelings about things and believe he has deep thoughts. He's never expressed them in a way that I found articulate or interesting. But maybe he is smart in some way he hasn't shown, and maybe his insecurity about it and the fact that he's so desperate to be perceived that way is actually hindering our understanding that he, in fact, is smart. I mean, look, young people are like that. If you're insecure about, and young people are insecure about various things, even rich, famous people.